My name is Taylor Trumbull, and I'd like to talk to you about why English should not be the only official language of the United States. I'd like to start by going over the diagram I chose to use today for my illustration. I chose to use a puzzle as a metaphor. I'm sure many of you grew up doing puzzles. I know I did. I did them on a daily. And the fun thing about puzzles is seeing each piece and seeing how it connects to the other pieces to create a bigger picture. That's exactly what I did with my diagram here today. As you may notice, I have some bigger, darker colored puzzle pieces and some smaller pieces. Each one of these connects to make the bigger picture of why English should not be the only official language of the United States. I'd like to start by reading these off to you. The first one is, by speaking more than one language, you're able to stay connected in your career. This allows the chance for a money increase and for you to be more relatable. The next one is staying connected in the brain. This causes improved health and your ability to prevent an illness. The next one I'll talk about today is staying connected in your community and how this values cultures and also creates unity. To start, I'd like to first talk about the brain. Did you know that you have multiple parts of your brain? Those who only speak one language actually only use half of their brain. Therefore, the other half of their brain is underdeveloped. You may not even realize this. I know I didn't. When you speak more than one language, you're using all the different parts of your brain. Therefore, you are keeping your brain mentally fit, which is why I chose this image down here. It's a brain working out. When you're speaking more than one language, you don't even realize it, the different parts of your brain that you're using. But when you speak more than one language, you're actually increasing some of your daily skills, such as multitasking and problem solving. Like I said before, when you're only using one part of your brain for speaking one language, the other part is underdeveloped. By using all the different parts of your brain, you're actually preventing illnesses. Some of you may not have realized this, but when your brain is actively fit, you're therefore healthier. So this prevents illnesses such as you can delay your chance of getting dementia by 5 years. For some of us, that may not seem like a lot because we are still young. But in the long run, this could really help us out. The next thing I'd like to talk about is how speaking more than one language can help us stay connected in a career. I know in my career field that I am trying to pursue, I'd like to be an elementary school teacher. A few months ago, I had an opportunity to go observe in a classroom. In the classroom I was observing in, I had the chance to experience a teacher trying to work with a student who only spoke Russian, while the teacher only spoke English. This created a divide and a divide between the teacher and the student in a relationship that was hard to create. As a teacher, you want to create a bond with all your students, but this was hard because of a language barrier. Therefore, they are looking for people all over in multiple different jobs who are able to speak more than one language because you're more relatable and easier to connect with people. By speaking more than one language, because there's such a high demand for it, it also increases your salary, your daily intake. So because there's such a demand, you'll be able to make more money by speaking more than one language. The last thing that I'd like to talk about is staying connected in the community. This is a big one because a lot of times people feel very excluded. Think about in high school. Were you able to connect to every single person that you walked by? Probably not, and that's okay. If you think about it, think about your general movies. There's usually cliques through high school. Perhaps you were on the soccer team, but you had friends on the football team. You may not have been able to talk and connect with the people on the football team because you didn't know all the football lingo. This is the same type of thing when it comes to speaking another language. Think about those people that grew up in our country but do not know English. They feel as though this is their home, but they can't connect with the people in their own home. They can't communicate with the people in their own home. Language barrier has been a huge issue for many years. Another thing, because of the language barrier, this creates a divide. We've had divides for many, many years in all different situations. Another thing that happens with this is that people feel if you're not able to communicate with them and you don't take them for who they are, this not only creates the divide, but they don't feel valued. If you don't feel valued, they're not going to want to put forth anything into their country. If this is their home and we want to accept everyone, then we want everyone to be able to put forth to create the country that we want to be. I didn't know if you know this, but actually the Native Americans did not speak English as their first language. They actually spoke Navajo. Now, I'm not saying we should all speak Navajo, but what I am saying is that they did so much for our country. If we were to just completely demolish the values that they created, how would that make them feel? How would it make you feel if you did something for your job or your family and they completely did away with it? You probably wouldn't like it too much. You probably wouldn't feel too valued. So therefore, by allowing people to speak their own language, by allowing them to be who they are, we are valuing who they are as a person. This also helps with the unity. I'd like to also go over some of my other pictures with you. For this one is a globe, and we have people of all different races in the picture. They are all celebrating together. Now, I'm not saying every single one of these people can probably speak the same language and relate. I would say if they were holding hands, that would create more of a picture of unity. However, I feel like I chose this picture because I feel like it establishes the setting that they're all in the same world, and they're in a circle, so they're trying to create that unity. But if they were holding hands, they would have completed it. But we're not quite there. That puzzle piece isn't quite finished yet because many people still feel the need for English to be the only language. I feel like if we allow English to not be the only language, then maybe this picture could be completed and they could all hold hands and we would realize that they all feel valued and are connected to each other. Another picture that I chose was this one over here. As you can see, it's also another puzzle. We have culture, beliefs, values, priorities, and language. Language is a big one. If it wasn't, it wouldn't even be in this image. So, therefore, if we're valuing culture, one of the main priorities is to be able to speak the same language and value other people's languages. How can we communicate with people if we don't know the same language? Personally, I grew up as a military child, and therefore I moved all over. I moved to different states and even other countries. I know for me, when I graduated school in Japan, it was hard for me to relate to some of the Japanese culture because they only spoke Japanese. Think about those that come to even visit us here. If they can't speak our language, are they going to want to come visit again? No, because they probably won't feel as welcome. Therefore, these are just a few of the reasons I feel that English should not be the only official language of the United States, because it does not allow them to stay connected in your career, in the brain, and in the community. Thank you.